Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of CR Exposed. On today's episode we are looking at the Vrock from Tales of the Valiant Monster Vault 1. And with that, let's jump right into this and make this as quick as possible. We're all trying to save time here. So we have ourselves a CR6 large fiend, and it's a demon with an armor class of 15, but before we get into that 15, let's go ahead and throw in the modifications here. We do have the modifiers of 3 strength, 5 dex, 4 con, -1 intelligence, a 6 wisdom, and 2 charisma. Now, the wisdom and the dexterity might need to be modified due to the fact that we don't know if the proficiency bonuses are being added in there, but we will determine that later on. From that, we are expecting to have 110 hit points, which at the moment, with a CR6 monster, on average, they should have 140 before modifications from all of their bonuses and negatives. Next, we have a speed of 40 feet and 60 feet fly. That is important because if there's only one movement speed that's below 30, we get a bonus to our monster's hit points because they're so slow. Slimes, for instance, are a big case for this. Next, we do have resistances, and we are resistant to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing from non-magical attacks. And then we also have demonic resilience, so we'll just jump right down to that. The Vrock is resistant to cold, fire, and lightning damage. Cold, fire, and lightning. Excuse me, was that? Yeah, resistant. And then, in addition, it is immune to poison damage and the poisoned condition. So we have poison and the poisoned condition, which may not make a big difference there. Let's see here. The Vrock is... Yep, okay, we got everything there. I think we're good. Let's move on. We then have the demonic resilience, which we've already seen, which was part of the additions. Nothing for senses and languages. That doesn't matter. We can move on to magic resistance. So our magic resistance is just like, it's similar companion game system. We will go ahead and add that in. The 0 actually doesn't matter. We're just adding in the -5 right to right off the bat there. So that's going to be moved in. And actually, I just remembered I forgot to add in the armor class, which actually we don't need to worry about. The armor class is a 15 because right now at the moment our dexterity is a 5. So we can just kind of skip past that for the time being. Then next, we are basically done with the traits. We've taken care of the demonic resilience and the magic resistance. We are going to look at the actions now. And we have a multi-attack of 1 beak and 2 talons. So moving down to the beak, we have a +6 for its attack, which means we are a little too high here, it looks like. Because we are definitely, let's see here, beak and talon. Both are +6. And the strength technically did work. If we were to move this, that would mean that the dexterity would be a 2 and the modifier proficiency bonus would be a 3 for a 5, which wouldn't work then because then we would still be low. So it looks like our Vrock isn't using dexterity as its attack bonuses and is instead using strength, which probably still means that the dexterity is actually a 2. And we are using proficiency saves here to give us a 5, which then technically means that we have natural armor of 3 for a total of 15. Either way, it doesn't really matter. I've just taken the long way around. And it gives you a little extra, like, oh, this may actually be what's going on here. And the same could be said probably for wisdom. It's probably also proficient in wisdom. And we're just going to go ahead and give the proficiency bonus here. We may or may not see that later on. So the beak here was +6. We are using strength. That's showing us the proper thing here of how much it is to hit. And then we are doing 2d8 plus strength. So 2d8 plus strength for a total of 12 points of even damage. And then we move over to look at the talon. The talon is 2d10 using strength. And we are getting 14 for there. And we do have the multi-attack. But first, let's go ahead and add in these items here. We'll drag those down. And in case we had... Oops. Let's fix that. Back to 14. In case we had any kind of riders like, poison damage or paralysis, stunning or whatever, we could add in these conditions to potentially give us a little bit more damage. And then lastly, for our attacks, we have the Wing Spores. Recharges on a 5 or 6. The Vrock shakes a cloud of toxic spores. Creatures in a within 15 feet Make a con save. On a failure, a creature takes 28 poison damage for 1 minute and is poisoned for 1 minute. On a success, a creature takes half the damage and isn't poisoned. While poisoned, a creature takes 3 damage at the start of each of its rounds. So we have a dot, a damage over time. Poison creature can repeat the saves at the end of its turn, ending the effects on a success. Emptying a vial of holy water on the poison creature also ends the effect on it. Good to know. So we'll go ahead and get that damage in there. We're going to say 8d6 for a total of 28. That's going to be our multi-attack option here. And because it is a 15-foot emanation from the creature, each creature within 15 feet, yes, of it. So let's take a look here. Is it 10 feet or less of a radius? No, it has a 15-foot radius. So this means our Vrock is actually going to get the damage as we expect here. And on top of that, we also have an extra bit of damage too. So we get the 3.5 for every round, which in theory, we would probably only add maybe 2 rounds per target that's hit. And in essence, we're expecting probably 2 targets to be hit and get the poison condition. Maybe 1. We'll see. Tales of the Valiant expects not the perfect conditions, but more of like an average. So in theory, we're probably only going to see maybe 1 creature poisoned in such a manner. And we will go ahead and add that in later on. And then lastly, we have a bonus action here. Starling Screech. The Vrock emits a horrifying screech for each creature within 30 feet. The target must succeed on a con save. So here we go. Our con save is a 14, which means modifying the con. Nope, we didn't have to modify the con. Our spell save DC is a 14, although that may be working off of strength. Let's see here. What happens if I switch? Well, in any event, they've picked a 14, and the 14 is in the expected range here. The spell to save DC is kind of working off of the attack bonus here, and we would have to switch it around, but you can kind of just pick whatever you want. But in any event here, the con save is a 15 to save, or excuse me, the Screech is a 14 to save, which is within the expected range, so we don't have to worry about any kind of modifications. And the target, let's see here, either can take, the target must succeed on a con save or be able to take either an action or bonus action in its turn, not both, and it can't take reactions. Okay, I see what's going on here. So it's kind of like a slow from like Pathfinder's slow spell, or D&D 3.5 slow. You lose a little bit here. It's just knocking you off in such a way that you can't use all of your features. But because this is just a bonus action and it's not really hindering it in any such way, we could take a look here at a couple items here. Like, for instance, bonus action that paralyzes, petrifies, stuns, makes unconscious, or otherwise makes a PC lose a turn, which this is not. We would not use this item, and that's pretty much the only thing we would use here. Oh. In last week's episode for the Void Dragon, I probably should have used the Parry Uncanny Dodge feature here, because there's a similar reaction that allows the creature to enhance its AC. I totally missed that. So more than likely that should have been added in to give us that minus 10%, because the AC would have gone up. So just something for me to remember for the previous week's episode. Okay. So Starling Screech here, I'm not too worried about it. We're just going to kind of skip over that and see how we do with everything else. So let's go back to our multi-attack here. We are doing the one Talon, I think it was, or the Beak. We're going to do a Beak, and we're going to do 2 Talon attacks times 2 for a total of 40. And then we also have the Wing Spore, which technically we should only see once in 3 rounds of combat. And we are, again, only doing 3 rounds of combat. So our first round, we'll just use the Spore. We're going to expect 56 points of damage. And then on top of that, we are going to... we'll go ahead and do this. We'll say our multi-attack of 40, and we will add in, one of these for now, and we'll see what happens here. So right now we are seeing a total average of 47 damage per round. If we were to say, oh, maybe 2 targets get hit, that's going to actually keep us technically within range. Even though we are 1 point over, this isn't going to trigger any kind of negative modifications. So 1 or 2 for the poison from the wing spore may or may not happen. But let's see what happens with just the 1. So again, we are looking for, what was it, 110 hit points? Yeah, that's what we're expecting to see is 110. And if we look at the adjusted hit points, we are hitting 110. So the Vrock here, CR6, is a A+ monster. Definitely use it for your games, and you'll have no issues with it. Starlight, Screech, again, doesn't really affect the combat prowess and doesn't do much else. So it's not affecting the overall monster. You might get some, you might see some differences here. Some players don't really use bonus actions all that often, so that's not a huge thing. But, for bonus action heavy like monks or other classes, dual wielding fighters or rangers, that might be a bit of an issue. But beyond that, the Starlight Screech, cool concept, probably not going to see it too often. Who knows? But in any event, yes, this has been CR Exposed, looking at the Vrock for the Tales of the Valiant Monster Vault 1 CR6 Vrock. If you like what I'm doing here and you'd like to get this tool to use for yourself to make perfectly balanced monsters for Tales of the Valiant, go ahead and check the link in the description below where you can get to my coffee shop and get this tool completely for free, or you can donate if you feel so inclined to. You can also support the channel by becoming a YouTube member or a coffee supporter for as little as $1 a month, where I will hit you up with early access to videos. On top of that, you'll get some behind-the-scenes information, especially over at Coffee, where I've been posting about what's going on more often there. And then there are also custom classes and subclasses for Tales of the Valiant and D&D 5th Edition, as well as monsters for each system. Make sure you don't use Tales of the Valiant monsters with your D&D 5e games, because lower level monsters are extremely deadly, and I need to do a video on that. Beyond that, you can also just like, share, subscribe, comment on the videos to support that way as well. Any kind of support is greatly appreciated. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.